What is up, people? It's your boy, the American Latino, the most based Latino on the internet. How's it going? I'm back doing another live. I'm sorry, for some reason I haven't been able to go live the last couple days. I've been trying to, but this seems to be an ongoing issue with TikTok, and I think I'm going to switch completely over to Rumble. It's just ridiculous. Every single time I try to go live, it doesn't let me. For some reason, when I hit live, it'll let me go into practice mode, but as soon as I try to go, I don't know if I'm blocked. I don't know what's going on, but this is episode 5. Let's get it going. We're going to have some hot topics today. And I'm going to try to do some, I don't know why it keeps doing this thing. All right, there we go. I don't know why. I'm going to have some gifting abilities, super fan goals, whatever the heck this thing is that allows me to get roses or something. I don't know. I'm not a big TikTok person, so this just happens to be the platform that's actually growing the fastest for me. Thank you for that. Sorry, I was just reading a notification. So, yeah, so we're just going to throw in, let's see here. All right. So, what are we going to talk about today? Let me pin your goal so more viewers may notice. Okay. Pin. There we go. Cool. All right. So, what are we talking about in today's episode, episode 5? You like the background? I changed the background. Government shutdown. Thanks, demon rats. All right. So, what are we talking about today? We got a couple topics today. I don't know if this green screen is going to stop being stupid. We'll see. Okay. All right. So first off, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you on TikTok. You have gotten me to past 100 followers now. I know for some people that's like, so what? My 4th, 5th account has 100 followers. For me, it's a big deal, and I appreciate it, and thank you. And it just means that you all are enjoying, you're enjoying my videos and my posts and my lives, and I thank you for that. So today's episode, we are going to talk about several topics. The first topic we're going to talk about is just breaking news that just came out. What is going on with this fucking green screen, man? This green screen thing is so shitty. The first topic we're going to talk about is the carbon tax. So I put up a post yesterday, and it was that President Trump had said he was no longer, or he was not going to, first of all, that he was disgusted at the fact that the IMO had come out with a plan to have a global carbon tax, that all these countries were going to buy into this, global carbon tax in an effort to combat climate change. Really what it is, it's just all these failing countries that are trying to get more money, and the way they're going to try to do that is by taxing on carbon emissions. Here's the problem. It's all total bullshit. Now, it may be stooped in some reality. Sure, there may be something to do with carbon emissions. Even if you look into the hardcore science of it, the vast majority consensus of scientists all say that human production of CO2 has very little, if any, effect on the climate. And there is no measurable way that you could determine how much, how little that humans have actually had. So it's funny that these people say they want to have a carbon tax by trying to lower, CO2 emissions, but yet there's no true measurable way. Now there is some ways that you can measure CO2 in the air, but that does not account for over a large amount of time, let alone the entire time that humans have been industrialized. So that's how you know it's bullshit. So one of the things that came out yesterday, and if you look on my page, it I'm sorry. This stupid green screen keeps being stupid. If you look on my page, one of the things that I posted was that Trump had just come out and said the U.S. will not be partaking in any global carbon tax. The main reason being is this: in order for there to be, in order for it to be like legitimate, the two biggest culprits of CO2 emission by far, it's not even close, it's not even debatable, is China and India. So until China and India say we are going to, shut down plants that have vast amounts of CO2 dispersion, or we are going to join this global carbon tax and we're going to pay our way in. And since we're the worst offenders, we're going to be paying the most. Until either of those two things happen, it's total bullshit. Hang on, I just want to see this. Actually, you're wrong. The biggest dementor of CO2 are volcanoes. Sure. Volcanoes are not humans, though, right? You can't tax a volcano, right? You can't tax a volcano. You certainly can tax stupid people, though. So that's one way that they are going to try to get more money. I mean, everything revolves around money, right? Let's be honest. It's all bullshit because it all revolves around money. If it didn't revolve around money, then it wouldn't be bullshit. And you would have people that were not advocating on the fact of money, but they were advocating on the seriousness of health, right? Because that's really what it boils down to, is human health and our ability to live on this planet. This is why Elon Musk wants to build and power. Yeah, absolutely. But this is why Elon Musk wants to build a base on Mars and start colonizing Mars, because in his eyes, he thinks that a lot of these offenders are not going to cave under economic pressure. They're just not. They're not going to give up power, and they're not going to stop production because a lot of these countries, let's face it, I'm sorry, but they're shitty. And some of the ways that they can sustain their economy is by producing their exports. And for example, India, one of the greatest offenders of CO2 emissions, they are not going to stop production anytime soon because they can't. If they could, they would, but because they're not a nuclear superpower, they're not going to. I mean, that's just how it is. And China is trying to stay on pace with the U.S. China is trying to come up to the U.S.'s level. So why would they stop anytime soon? I mean, to think that they would want to curtail themselves in any way, shape, or form. No, they want to surpass the United States, right? They want to become the next global superpower. The only superpower that exists right now in the world is the United States. If you don't think that, then you really need to go back to school and like learn basic economics 101, because the U.S. is the leader right now, and Trump is trying to make that be the deciding factor for the next 40 years. That's his goal. But we'll see. China keeps creeping up very close. But he's doing all sorts of things. And one of the things that he's doing is he came out yesterday, like I said on my post, he came out yesterday and said that the U.S. will in no way, shape, or form contribute to this global carbon tax. Okay? So here's how powerful, not just Trump, but here's how powerful the U.S. is, if you don't think the U.S. is the economic superpowerhouse that it is. Just by Trump saying that, and he didn't even verbally say it. I think later on during the day, and it's one of the topics that we'll get to, there was a press conference, one of the greatest press conferences, and it really slipped by. None of the news are covering it. If you're watching this live, then you'll hear about it if you missed it yesterday. But it's one of the greatest press conferences that has ever happened, and I'll explain why. Has to do with IBF and American First Nation pricing in terms of drug prices here in the U.S. But sorry, I've got my notes here on this phone, and it keeps going, it keeps locking. Just by him tweeting, well, it wasn't a tweet; it was a Truth Social post. I know a lot of people aren't on Truth Social because it's Trump's platform. West, British, and Germany, two countries who both at some point tried to rule the world. Yes. And like I don't even want to discuss because they're just ridiculous. Number one, but like the British, like they are going through a whole mess of problems right now with Sadiq Khan and the Islam and Muslim craziness that's going on there. We'll touch upon that later, but just from a simple Truth Social post, which then got posted. Yes, that's World Economic Forum. That's what's his name, Klaus. Klaus, I forget his last name, but the cross-dresser who is like, you're going to eat worms and you're going to love it, right? That was his whole thing. Basically, the great replacement theory. So just from a simple tweet that Trump did, right? So it was posted on Truth Social and then went over to X. From a simple tweet, we'll call it, just today, the IMO declared that they will no longer be doing a global carbon tax for at least 1 year, maybe longer. We don't know, but they came out and said we're not going to be doing it for at least a year in response to the president's tweet. So that's really good news, number one, for everybody, because it's total bullshit, like I said, but also because until India and China and some of these other countries that are the worst offenders say, hey, we're the worst offenders, we're going to tone it down a little bit. Anyone else that tries to join or do this is just stupid, quite frankly. So just from that one simple tweet, they sorry, the stupid green screen. They're not doing it for at least a year. So we'll see what happens in a year. Trump will still be president in a year, but we'll see where we're at in terms of a year from now, which I thought was amazing because this whole green new scam. One of the things here in the States that they keep continuously trying to push, and this is a great topic to cover, is renewable energy. Okay, so renewable energy, that's like windmills and water and also basically anything other than fossil fuels, anything other than gas and coal, which is just impossible. That's what a lot of these climate people don't understand is to get off of fossil fuels and coal, it's just not going to happen. It may happen in the future, and I'll explain why in a second, but now it's just not going to happen, right? The discovery of oil had changed the world forever. It changed the world for the better, quite frankly. But you have to realize that is not going away anytime soon. The reason why is because one other power source, well, there's actually two, but there's only one that we have right now that can be enabled across the world, and it would basically, it has proven itself, basically will take over the oil and fossil fuel production and coal, and that's nuclear. But there's so many people out there that are against nuclear because of disasters like Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, and things like that. That they're scared of it, and I understand it's scary if a nuclear plant goes up. Not only is there a potential for a nuclear explosion, but just the radioactive fallout from a catastrophe can be devastating to an area. And it could take upwards of 50, 60 years before that area can even be walked on. The half-life of uranium, the half-life of plutonium can vary, but it's predominantly something like 50 years. So you're looking at a very long time before these places could ever be even visited, let alone repopulated. But here's the thing. Nuclear has the potential to power the world. I mean, it really does. Nuclear power plants are so much more efficient than any other type of renewable, any other type of energy. And right now we are on the cusp. There's something called Amazon Helios. If you haven't heard of this, this is what Jeff Bezos has been putting his money in for the last decade at least. It's something that all of the Silicon Valley techs and giants, all the billionaires have been looking at. And it's the next evolution of energy. And we haven't gotten there yet, but they are building 2 facilities, one in America and one in the south of France. And these 2 facilities are basically going to be the catalyst for nuclear fission production. Now, what is nuclear fission production? Well, there's 2 forms of nuclear energy. There's nuclear fusion. Fusion. Nuclear fission, let's get my terminology correct. Nuclear fission is what we have now. And that is, the power plants that we've had since the 50s and the modernized power plants. That's nuclear fission. And that's just basically the combustion of atoms. And that just makes a substantial amount of power and energy that can be harnessed into electricity and other forms of energy. However, fusion is the power of the sun. Fusion is, and I'm not going to go into it too much on detail here. You can look it up for yourself, just chat GPT it or Google it. But fusion is about, I think it was something like 1,000 times more efficient than fission, 100,000 times more efficient than coal and oil gas. So, but the problem is that we have not cracked the nuclear fusion code. In order for that to happen, you need insane amounts of energy. And you need a facility big enough to handle it takes an extreme amount of energy to combust atoms. That is absolutely right. I want to say it's the Stern or CERN, whatever the facility is. I think it's in England. I can't remember, but it's the giant it's basically a giant magnet, right? And what they do is they send atoms and they smash into each other, and that's how these explosions are done. But they're done in a controlled environment. Fusion, which we are on the cusp of doing, is a much more volatile process, but it's also a much more expansive process. In other words, the explosion is something like 1,000 times, like I said, 1,000 times more big than fission is. So we have not been able to crack that code yet until now. Amazon Helios is a program that is designed to, that, like I said, Jeff Bezos has been pouring billions and billions, millions of dollars. You've got Jeff Bezos is in on it. Bill Gates has tons of money in it. All of the Silicon Valley people have tons of money in it. And basically it is the production of a plant that will do nuclear fusion. And they're all racing to try to get this done. And they're saying that by 2030, this facility will be built and will be able to do nuclear fusion. And when that happens, when you have somebody like Elon Musk, who has yet to crack the small battery dilemma. If you don't know what that is, it just basically is that, like your Nacho Libre mask, Nacho, yes, that's a great movie. Somebody said that the other day. It's not Nacho Libre. It's a luchador mask. It's the only Hispanic American, Latino American thing, luchador mask that I could find. So I figured I'd rock it. But I'm gonna do. I posted up yesterday or whatever. When I get 1 million followers, it's a very high goal. But when I get 500K, I'll do a face reveal. But until then, the luchador mask stays on. What is going on with this damn green screen? But anyway, the small battery dilemma is something that Elon has yet to crack. And it basically means that batteries can only get so small. Okay, they can only get so small before you have to have a lot of them. So much so to the point where it makes it extremely impractical to use in something like a Cybertruck, for example, right? You would have to have a battery the size of a house in order to have the capacity that a fusion battery would have. Now, some people say this is science fiction, but all of the science fiction people, right, who talk about this have based it in reality because they know that once nuclear fusion is achieved, it will completely wipe out all other forms of energy production. And it will be the dominant driving force that drives the world beyond our wildest imaginations. It will be the thing that allows us to do things like super deep space travel, or potentially FTL, creating FTL drives. It might be the key to it all, might be nuclear fusion. We're not sure. We'll see. 2030 is the proposed date. But the small battery dilemma is that you can't get enough power into these things without having so many batteries. So having a small nuclear fusion battery inside of a car, as long as it's safe, you would basically never have to charge that car again. It would essentially run by itself and recharge by itself, which is just crazy to think. So that's why Elon is all in on it too. He's another massive investor. When I post this up on YouTube, I'll post links to my sources, so you can read the sources. You don't have to take my word for it. You could just read the sources on your own. There's a couple companies that I have been talking to my Telegram group about, and we've been investing in them. And I highly recommend you take a look at some of them, because when nuclear fusion comes, it will be like the railroad. It will be like the automobile. It will be like the internet. It will be life-changing in terms of people who are able to capitalize it and basically have generational wealth. If you invest in the right companies that are working towards creation of nuclear fusion, you have a chance to become a Rockefeller, essentially. So bear that in mind, because this is truly like once in a lifetime, once in a generation thing that's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to come hard. It's going to come fast. Everybody says that AI is the next big thing, right? Well, I will tell you that's bullshit. And the reason why I say that is, what is going to power AI, right? You think it's going to be coal? You think it's going to be gas, fossil fuels? No, AI, to reach its max potential, is going to require a power source more astronomical than any of us can think. And it will require fusion energy. That is why Amazon Helios is trying so hard to crack the fusion code, because once they do, it will have the ability to reach unprecedented heights. That's when AI, I believe, will become the next big thing. Now, it's a race for power. It's a race for energy. And once the energy code is cracked, then AI can do its thing and become, the massively potential, cataclysmic, life-altering and world-changing thing that everybody thinks it's going to be. I don't think we're there yet. Again, it needs insane amounts of power. I mean, you're talking like buildings and buildings and like streets, like blocks, like street corner blocks, like multiple buildings of battery power. It's just not feasible. So until we have fusion, AI is not the call. Now you can invest in AI now, sure. There's nothing wrong with that, but the next big thing, mark my words, and don't take it from me. Like I said, you've got all these people with a shit ton of money, billionaires, millionaires, all dumping their money into nuclear fusion creation. So I would definitely get on the ball and start looking up companies that are working towards that. But I mention all that because this carbon tax credit that's been delayed for a year, that's total bullshit, is just so ridiculous, because once the fusion code gets cracked, there essentially will be no more carbon emissions. I mean, that will become a thing of the past. That is what a lot of these climate people don't understand. It will become a thing of the past, but it's current because that's the best source of energy, the most abundant source of energy, liquid gold, as they call it, beneath our feet. Until that gets depleted, or until we crack the code towards fusion, it will still be used. So, That's one thing. So I bring that up because I thought it was amazing that the president just made a simple tweet, and the very next day, they retracted their statement that they're not going to be doing the carbon tax for at least another year, which is hilarious. Which basically means they're not going to be doing it because there's no way to hold these countries accountable. What are you going to put sanctions? Who's going to put the sanctions on them? The U.S. is this world superpower, right? So everyone's trying to get money from the U.S. So if the U.S. is not going to impose sanctions, what do these other idiots think they're going to do? That their countries aren't going to do shit. Like, they're not going to stop trade. They're not going to stop importing and exporting because it's just going to hurt their economy. So, they talk a tough game, but when somebody with actual power comes and flexes their muscle, they all back down, or they all come to the table and want to do deals. It's hilarious that everyone wants to do deals when Trump's in office, but when Trump's not in office and you've got idiots in office, everyone just wants to do their own thing. That's why the war started. So we got off on a little bit of a tangent, but one of the other things I wanted to talk about, and if you haven't been on my lives before, basically we just run down a couple of topics. Some of the lives are one topic that we cover, like the last live. Was the last one? It was like 2 lives ago. We covered one singular topic. It was the most views I got and the most likes I got. Please like the video too if you like what I'm saying. If you like this content, I appreciate it. But it was crazy. It got something like 5,000, and that's because we were talking about one singular topic. You can go back episode 3, but occasionally we'll just do episodes that have multiple topics. So the other topic I want to talk about is the New York mayoral debate that happened last night. It was just a shit show beyond belief. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it. It's on YouTube. It was streamed live. It was on cable, and it was also streamed on multiple streaming platforms, including YouTube. And man, it is truly just was a shit show. You had Zoram Mamdani, who is leading in the polls, who is basically a terrorist sympathizer, Islam Muslim, who came to the U.S. I think in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, and is now leading in the polls. And the guy's basically a communist. He says he's a socialist, but he's basically a communist. And then you have the other idiot who during COVID caused the deaths of so many people, Cuomo, who's just a joke. And then I forgot who the other guy, the Republican, I felt so bad for him. I mean, you could tell this guy's just a boomer, just didn't have anything great to say. Even the guy on the right in New York, this is how fucked New York is. Even the guy on the right in New York was talking like a leftist. It was insane. Talking about how they're sending, so instead of, because they get 500 plus calls for mentally ill people roaming the streets, because they basically continue to let homeless people, and they got rid of, insane asylums. So they just let these people out on the street. They get 500 calls a day. What's going on with this green screen, man? They get 500 calls a day. And now they're talking about sending social workers instead of sending the police. I mean, what the fuck is going on? You're some of these people, a lot of these people are dangerous, right? Because they're seeing things that aren't there. They're having manic episodes. They're having hallucinatory fits. And sometimes they basically need to be put in cuffs and taken to jail. And then they can get the help that they need from there. But for anyone to think that you're going to send a mental social worker to a 911 call is just mind-blowing. Now, they said, even Mamdani himself said, no, we're not gonna send social workers to these calls. We're actually still gonna send the police. That's bullshit, and he's just saying that to save face, but that's what they're going to do. They're going to send social workers instead of cops because they hate the cops. Let's face it. They've tried to neuter the police in New York as much as they can, repealing the budget. Anytime a cop does anything that's insensitive, they're plastered all over the news. They're doxxed, essentially. They're it's crazy what's going on. And I just watched a video this morning that Active Self Protection put up. John Correa, I don't know if you guys know him, but fantastic dude. I've talked with him. He does a lot of firearms training, which is great. And this video was just insane. It was on a New York subway. A guy skipped the turnstile, didn't pay, and was basically walking around with an open knife. And these two cops, who are either totally untrained, they shouldn't have been cops in the first place, first of all, totally untrained, or they just did not have the will to truly police, are walking around yelling at this guy. This guy's walking around with a knife in and out of the subway cars, people all around. And they shoot him with the taser once, it does nothing. They shoot him with the taser twice, it does nothing. I mean, mind you, this guy's like within arm's reach of both of these officers, could slice their neck at any second and kill them instantly. Well, not instantly, but, cut the carotid and then they bleed out. They both draw their guns in a crossfire and shoot directly at a crossfire. One of the guys hits the other cop, and the other one was shooting so fast with one hand. The splits were something like 11th of a second, 10th of a second, which means if you know anything about shooting guns, that's pretty much near impossible to hit your target one-handed. You can do it with two hands if you're really, really good, but you're not able to visually see what is happening that fast. You need to slow it down to like a 40th of a second. And I know some people are going to say, oh, that's bullshit. I do competition. I do 20th of a second, and I can see just fine. Well, that's great. You're a competition shooter. You're not the NYPD, which gets ridiculously low levels of training, if they get any training at all. What's the reason for the government shutting down, in your opinion? Oh, we'll get to that. You can see I've got a different background today than some of my other previous videos. I will answer your question, Josh, in just a moment. But just to get back to the subway. So anyway, so they shoot the guy. They shoot him 15 times, right? 15 times. And because this guy is shooting so fast with one hand, he's shooting him low left, can't control the recoil, and it's essentially popping him in the legs, which does nothing. It does not stop the threat. It takes at least 10 to 15 seconds for this guy to actually finally fall down after one or two good chest shots from the other cop. Meanwhile, the guy that was firing with one hand and was unable to control the firearm. There we go. Unable to control the firearm, essentially shot two innocent bystanders, one in the head and one in the chest. And they lived, thank God. However, they're suing the NYPD, you ready? For $70 million, and the other person is suing for $80 million. So those were $70 and $80 million shots that officer was taking. And it's just ridiculous. You got to go see the video. Active Self Protection YouTube channel, fantastic video, and their commentary is great too. I totally agree with them. Anyone on the streets of America, you don't have to be a cop. You get something like palm pepper spray. Highly recommend that as a non-lethal option over any sort of taser or electrical stun device. They just don't work. They only work about 50% of the time if you're lucky. The failure rate on those is just insane, and I would recommend a capsaicinoid pepper spray, essentially, over any other non-lethal, because while, yes, it may contaminate the area, an innocent bystander may catch some of it in their sinuses, in their nose, their eyes, it's way more effective than a taser or electrical stun device, and it usually gets people to stop doing what they're doing because they can't see. So that's one thing. But anyway, the mayoral debate, ridiculous. Go watch it. It was funny. I still haven't figured out how to play clips here on TikTok Live and then have you guys see the clips while I talk about it. I'm trying to figure it out because I can't figure out the stupid thing. I might switch over to Rumble and then have the Rumble broadcasts come through the RMPT stream. We'll see. But somebody said, how can anybody take you serious? No one would take anyone seriously with that stupid mask. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. It's up to you to decide whether or not what I'm saying is something that you should listen to. The mask is simply there to let you know that I am of Latino heritage, luchador. It's not stupid. It's a heritage symbol. It may seem stupid to you, but that's because you clearly know nothing about Latino heritage or what a luchador is. And if you do and you still think it's stupid, well, then you can just fuck right off and you can leave and I'll ban you and then that'll be fine. And then you can do whatever you want. You can go make fun of it somewhere else. But for somebody who I'm going to assume that you're a leftist because really only leftists attack people like that. But I'm just going to simply say that for somebody who's supposed to be so tolerant of others, why would you attack the luchador mask, man? Why? I don't get it. Makes no sense. So moving on, the mayoral debate in New York. Go watch it. It's fucking hilarious. You'll laugh your ass off, I guarantee it. Some of the responses from Cuomo are just funny. They're just super funny. I mean, he's like, they ask him, okay, what's your favorite New York baseball team? And the question was like, so why don't you go and, or if you were to go to a baseball game, who would be the team that you would go and see? And Mamdani's like, it would be I think it was baseball, basketball. I don't remember. I'm not a big sports fan. I'm an MMA fan, but not a big traditional sports fan. But it was something like, I would go to both games and I would support both teams. And then Mamdani cuts him off and he's like, dude, why can't you just be honest and pick a team? And he's like, the Yankees I would go to see. It was just really funny. Go watch it. It was just crazy. But to get back to your question, Josh, you had asked, what is the reason for the government shutting down, in your opinion? Okay, so here's the reason. It's very, very simple. The Democrats, or demon rats, they want to give, and I did a whole spiel on this on episode 2, I believe, of my past live. The Democrats want to give. The bill was all set, right? Like the extension to keep the government open was all set. Everyone was in agreement on almost all of the parts. The one part that they could not agree on, you ready for this? They want to give $1.2 trillion to illegal immigrants for health care. And I know some people are going to say that's not true, blah, 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 blah. No, it is totally true. It's not all 1.2 trillion in one go. It's broken up into several different programs, but combined total $1.2 trillion to illegal immigrants. And the Republicans are all saying, no, you can't do that. We cannot incentivize these people who are here illegally to just continue to break the law and get away with it. And not only are they going to get away with it, but now we're going to give them a gift of $1.2 trillion on the back of the taxpayer to fund their health care because they came here illegally, so now they're here illegally, so now it's our responsibility to have to take care of their health care, which, by the way, overwhelmingly, they abuse the system. They go in and because they can't get real doctors, they use the emergency services, which costs a lot more than a regular traditional doctor and having insurance because they can't get regular insurance. So they end up using the ER and to its maximum capacity and essentially just wipe out all of the essentials that are there. It's insane. Why do Republicans hide their faces? Who said I was a Republican? Can I not just be a luchador, Latino, American Latino? Like, why do I have to be Republican? I am Republican, but I'm just saying it's just pretty funny that people don't understand. It's a luchador mask of Latino heritage. I am the American Latino, the internet's most base Latino, because you aren't going to hear what I have to say from any other Latino. I guarantee it on the internet. It's just not going to happen. So continue to follow my page, follow me, and you'll see, I guarantee you'll hear some things that a lot of these people are not going to like. So moving on. Yesterday, like I said, there was an insanely productive press conference that happened. And if you didn't see it, Are you for real? It takes a real man to are you for real? It takes a real man to hide their face. It takes a real man to hide their face. What? That doesn't even make sense, bro. Like what? Or girl, Colorado Deb, are you for real? Yes, I'm for real. Yes, I am a real person. Yes. You're a joke. Ban me and just shows that you can't take a joke. Oh, I can take a joke. I answered your question. I answered your question. It's all good. Don't worry about it. It's all good, fam. Legal immigrants are able to get health care as stated by the law, but illegal immigrants don't get it. Yes, I understand that, but that's not what I'm saying. As I just explained, they are using, because they can't get health care, and I'm not saying it to you, I'm saying it to the live in general. Because they can't get insurance and traditional healthcare, they use the emergency services to their max capacity. Okay. And that costs a lot more than if you were just to go to your traditional doctor. I understand it's not permitted under the law. Do you think these people give a shit? No, they don't care. They already broke the law. They already came here illegally. The people that want to give $1.2 trillion to these idiots, they are just that. They are foolish. They are idiots. They don't understand how it works. They just see money and they just go, oh, who gives a shit? We'll just give them $1.2 trillion. Where does that $1.2 trillion come from? Comes off the back of the taxpayers of this country, the legal citizens. So, come on, like, get real. Like, do a little bit of research and you'll understand, the reality of the situation. I'm not lying. In fact, I'm going to post, I do this every time. I post all of my sources on YouTube. You can go check them. Go look at the sources. You don't have to take my word for it. Go check the sources, do the research yourself, and you can see if I'm lying. Thank you very much. So the next thing, there's only two more, but the next thing, there was a press conference yesterday. It was fantastic. The press conference was about First Nation pricing. What does that mean? It means that for years, the U.S. has been getting ripped off. We've been forced to pay sometimes 700 to 1,000% more on prescription drugs than other countries for the same medication. So, for example, I think it was something like, I forgot the name of the medication, but you can go back and you can watch the press conference that the president did. And I forget the name of the drug, but it was like $7,000 in one country. It was $700 in one country. Here in the U.S., it was like $7,000, which is just ridiculous. Why are we having to pay, 1,000% increase in price when all these other countries are paying way less? Well, a couple days ago, they had a press conference saying that First Nation pricing was coming to America. They had finally done it and gotten it passed. But yesterday's press conference was fantastic, and it was about IVF. And it was lowering the cost of IVF. If you don't know what IVF is, it's basically helping out families that can't have children to have children. The birth rates in the U.S. are plummeting. They are supposed to be at like 2.1 or 2.2, somewhere around there, 2.3. And there's something like 1.4, 1.2. They're drastically dropping. And that just basically means that this generation, the next generation, are not having enough children. And essentially what happens is, if you're not having enough children, your population decreases and you have to resort to immigration in order to continue to have a thriving country. And when you have too much immigration and not enough people assimilating into the and you have too many people not assimilating into the country, essentially it gets overrun, right? And then America's no longer America. America is the Middle East, for example, or America's China, or America's a different country, Germany, or whatever. The birth rates need to come up. And IVF is a way that people who are struggling to have children It could be a myriad of reasons, but people who are struggling to have children can have children. And the problem is that one round of this IVF treatment was costing, or initially it was costing something like $70,000. And it may not take the first time. It could take, one of the examples that they had was I don't know if she was the head of Gilead, or she was the head of Serrano or something like that. One of the biggest manufacturers, one of the biggest pharmaceutical manufacturers. She was one of the heads of, and she came and gave her story. And she's married to a NASCAR driver. I don't remember what his name is, but he's some big NASCAR driver. And they were not able to have children. And it took them 8 rounds, multiple miscarriages before they finally were able to have children, but they couldn't have children naturally. And so IVF was the way that they were able to do it. And because she was the head of this, pharmaceutical company, and he's a NASCAR driver, they had tons of money to do it. But the average person doesn't. And during the press conference, they were saying something like 20 years ago, it was 1 in 20,000 people would have to resort to IVF because they just were not able to, whatever the reason was, they were not able to have children normally. Today, the stats are staggering, and it's basically 1 in 12 families are not able to conceive and have children, which is just crazy. 1 in 10, even some reports are saying. The Journal of Journal of Medicine, I can't remember what it was, but which is just nuts. I mean, again, you don't have to take my word for it, right? I'm telling you, don't take my word for it. Go do your own research, all right? And you'll find out, right? You'll find out. You don't need me to tell you, but I'm just telling you because a lot of people don't watch the news. They think the news is completely partisan. You've got people in here saying, "What are you listening to? Fox News? Where are you getting your information from? Blah 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 blah." Go do your own research, and you'll see the birth rates are at an insane level, and they need to come up. And one of the ways to do it is IVF. And just yesterday during the press conference, they said that they are lowering the price from, I think it was like $25,000 all the way down to like $1,000. And one of the things that they said was that they were making it so that insurance companies could now get this sort of IVF treatment for their employees, where they weren't able to do it before. They're now able to come up with a plan that allows couples to use their insurance to pay for this IVF treatment, which they for the longest time were not able to do. It was not something that insurance would cover, so people would have to pay out of pocket. So basically what it was doing was it was constricting the ability of people to have children, number one. And number two, it was basically only the rich who were able to have children if you weren't able to conceive naturally. TJ says, love the mask, man. Hell yeah. See, TJ gets it. I don't know if you're being serious or not, but yeah, I mean, I'm an American and I'm of Latino heritage. So why would I not wear a luchador mask, right? People who understand it get it. People who don't understand it, who are supposed to be so tolerant, right? They're supposed to be tolerant of everybody. They come in here and they start talking shit and they make fun of it, calling me Nacho Libre and saying, if this guy is a Latino, Trump doesn't fill a diaper daily. Like, really, bro? That's a really intelligent comment you made there. So I think it's fantastic. Go watch the press conference that Trump did yesterday. Had a lot of great people on it, a lot of heads of pharmaceutical companies. Everyone complains about big pharma, yet these pharmaceutical companies are working with the U.S. government to try to lower prescription prices and just drug prices in general. Thankfully, to this favored nations pricing that Trump got passed. I mean, all the other presidents have had the ability to do it, all right, but they didn't. I mean, that should tell you something, all right? That should tell you a lot. All right, and finally, the last topic we're going to cover here. You're not a Latino. Okay, if you say so. So the last topic we're going to cover here. Yesterday there was a tweet that Matt Walsh put out. If you don't know who Matt Walsh is, let me get rid of this thing here. If you don't know who Matt Walsh is, he's part of the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles and a couple of other people. And he's fantastic. Matt Walsh is fantastic. If you don't like him, I'm sure you have a myriad of reasons for not liking him, but if you just listen to what he says, he's not a liar. He's a truth teller. Same for Charlie Kirk. If you don't like Charlie Kirk and you're just ignorant to the fact that you don't know what he said, you just heard snippets and clips and stuff like that. Okay, I urge you to go back and listen to what he said and think critically about some of the stuff that he was saying, because Charlie was a truth teller. And so is Matt. Matt tells the truth on a lot of things. Don't know him to be a liar. All the stuff that I've seen him put out, all the stuff that I've seen him put out has been quality material, quality content. But from what I heard, he's number 2 on the list. So like there was this thing going around that was saying that if they couldn't get Charlie, Matt Walsh was going to be the next guy down that they were going to get. Which is just crazy. I mean, these people are sick and disgusting, and they're supposed to be tolerant. I mean, again, you've got people in here saying, hey, it's not too late to turn your life around. The admin is paying this freak to humiliate himself online. No, man, no. I am the American Latino. I am the internet's most base Latino. I get it. I get what's going on. I love this country, and I don't want to see it go down the toilet, which is what's been happening the last few years. And just because I wear a luchador mask that has an American flag on it does not mean I'm paid by the administration or I'm some freak or whatever the hell else. I'm proud of my Latino heritage, but I'm disgusted by the things that are happening in this country, being born in this country, being an American. And you're not going to see a lot of Latinos say things like that because it's wrong to say things like that. If you're a Latino, you have to basically bend the knee and be a Democrat for some reason because they're letting all of the illegal Latinos in. So you have to praise them and thank them and be part of that cult. Nah, that's bullshit. Sorry. I totally disagree with that. I am my own person and I can think for myself. I can think critically. If you can't think critically, then I highly suggest you go get some help because you're just parroting talking points, right? You're surface level and you're not truly deep down, because if you were truly deep down, you would know that all the parroting talking points that you're trying to come at me with are just total bullshit, and I can dispel and dismantle every single one of them. So please, the more hate you spew at me, the more I will dispel all of that hate and turn it around and show you that it's all bullshit. Have you ever even heard Charlie Kirk speak? Yes, the man was an absolute genius and was a truth teller. And anyone that says otherwise is a fucking idiot, plain and simple. And you are surface level, bro. Like if you think that he was spewing anything other than truth, facts, and trying to make this country better and trying to get better people into the government, trying to get the public to recognize what is, the right way, the right path. I mean, you're an idiot, like plain and simple. If you've only heard the clips that people have clipped together and you just heard like small little tidbits, you haven't actually listened to the things that he said or seen the things that he said, you're just surface level. We'll just leave it at that. He spewed hate and lies. Show me one clip where he ever spewed hate or said a lie. I would love to know. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. What do you think of Mom Donnie? If you go back, that was the first topic that I talked about on this live. The guy's a communist, straight up. He acts like he's a socialist, but he's a communist, plain and simple. He is Islam, Muslim, terrorist sympathizer, communist, plain as day. Anyone that says otherwise, you're just brainwashed. You're just brainwashed, and I can't help you. I can't help you because anything that I'm going to say, you're going to say is bullshit. But I'm going to tell you that he's bullshit. And if you think that Mamdani is the answer for New York City, get the fuck out of New York right now. Because that place is about to turn into a hellhole if this guy gets elected. I mean, you thought Cuomo was bad. You thought Bill de Blasio was bad. Holy shit, man. If this guy gets in, I seriously feel so bad for the people of New York City. I really do. It's crazy. It's crazy what's going to happen. I love the comments. Yes, let's get more of this. Show your face. You're a monkey. Let's see. Shut up. Why are you wearing a mask? You're lying. I thought people on the left hate masks. Hilarious. I love it. I love it. Should we have a pathway to citizenship for dreamers? Brian, that's a great question. And I'm going to tell you the hard truth. You ready? And not a lot of people are going to like what I'm about to say. But no, they shouldn't. They should be deported. Again, you're not going to hear a lot of Latinos say this, but I'm going to say it. The dreamers should all be deported. Oh my God. Oh my God. He said it. Oh my God. No, I'm not a fake Latino. I'm an actual Latino. Both my parents were I'm not going to say what, but both my parents were Latino, and that's all I'm going to say. And I will take my face. I will take my mask off at 500K followers. So if you want to see my face, I highly suggest you follow me. And when I hit 500K, then I will remove the mask and you will see who I am. But until then, you can go suck a fat one. So getting back to your question, why should the dreamers be deported? Because it's very, very simple, right? We're a nation of laws, okay? And if we're not going to stick to that, right? We're not going to live this nation by laws. We're not going to be rule and order. We're just going to let people come here illegally, and we're going to say that that's okay because they came under the auspices of some sort of program that allowed them to come here because they're essentially anchor babies. Okay, fine. Then you can do that. Then open up the border again. Let everybody in, and the hell with the law, the rule of law, and we'll live in WROL without rule of law. And that'll be fine, right? Because then it'll essentially be the Wild Wild West, and anyone who can't take care of themselves, well, the hell with them. They'll just be trampled, just like in all of these third world countries where the people with guns and power and force go in and kill the people who don't have those things, take their shit, and just run the country. So if you want to live in a place that is run by the cartels, then okay, fine. But that is why the dreamers should be deported, because they came here illegally. This is not hard, guys. This is super simple, okay? Anyone that breaks the law, if you come here illegally, you broke the law. You need to go back. It's very simple. No, I'm not an anchor baby. I'm actually third generation American. So, no, I am not. But if I was, I would self-deport. You're right. Because in my eyes, I broke the law. It's that simple, right? This nation, Ben Franklin, after they signed the, where is it? I got it right here. Okay. U.S. Constitution, okay? Ben Franklin, when they signed the Declaration of Independence, and he came out and was asked, were you able to, somebody asked him, were you able to give us, I think the quote, I'm probably going to misquote it, but it was something like, were you able to give us a republic, Ben? And his response was, yeah, if you can keep it. And that is the number one, that should be the number one sticking point in everybody's head. If you can keep it. Because if we don't abide by the law, the rule of law, essentially what you have is just a fucking free-for-all. If you want a free-for-all, okay, that's fine. Go down to Venezuela, right? Go down to all of these countries where you could just do whatever the hell you want. And as long as you're not speaking against the government, you could basically just commit as much crime as you want and live out your life as a criminal and just do whatever you want. But here in the United States, if you break the law, you're held accountable because we are a nation of laws. And that means something, right? If you come here, if your parents came here, for example, this is the big thing with I think it was first Japanese people, but now it's become like a Chinese thing. If you come here, you're 9 months pregnant, you're about to give birth, you step on American soil, and you have a baby here, and because you had the baby here, a month after you have the baby, you go back home. Now that baby essentially is what's called an anchor baby. That means that because they were born on American soil, they have all of the rights that would come with a natural American citizen giving birth here. Well, we can talk about that, but coming here illegally, period. No, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were born here. I'm sorry your parents fucked up, broke the law, and came here, and then had you while they were here. Right? That's awful, and they should be condemned for that because they broke the law. All right, and it's not difficult to understand. I love all of the comments that are coming in. Let me just read some of these comments because they're really funny. Make sure to report this live for misinformation and hate. There's no hate here, and there's no misinformation. I'm going to post all the sources go follow my YouTube. All the links are in my bio. And I post all of the sources in the description. So if you want to take the time to go look and fact check me and see if I'm spewing misinformation, by all means, please go do your research. But you're not, because you're just surface level. You're parroting talking points. You're parroting talking points from the Democrat Party because you actually haven't thought about the things that you're saying. You're just saying what everybody on your side wants to say. It's just really funny that you would even say that. Do you wear your mask because you're scared you don't have to grift, make positive changes in your life? I don't need to make positive changes, bro. No, I'm not grifting. I'm telling it how it is. I am the internet's most base Latino, and I will prove it to you. Trust me. You're going to see a lot of hate come in these comments because people just don't like the truth. They just really don't. Let's see. Deport Melania. At some point you were. No, I was not an anchor baby. Why would you deport Barron Trump? Both his parents are proud Americans. Exactly. This is just some idiot that's spewing nonsense. Unless your family was on the right side of the border switch, you are an anchor baby. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. If you came here legally, like if your parents came here legally, right? They became U.S. citizens and then had you here, you are an American citizen. That's it. That's how it works. If you don't like that, then change the law. Like petition to change the law. Don't just spew bullshit talking points because you want to, I don't know, make yourself feel better. Not everyone is a Democrat or liberal. We just have a mind of our own. Yes. Well, see, that's the problem, Liz. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just have a hive mind, a collective hive mind for some reason. But not everybody does. And the people that don't, the people that actually think for themselves, those are the people that are going to actually go look at the sources, read the information, and go, holy shit, he's right. I heard in this live, this quote-unquote clown with a luchador mask was saying all this hateful misinformation. But yet when I actually looked into it, he was right. And he was telling the truth. And wow, I can't believe that. Maybe I should check my worldview and the things that I think about. And maybe I should dig a little bit deeper and think critically about them because I might be wrong. Imagine that. Imagine that if you were wrong and you had your mind changed by a clown in a mask, right? Who would think? Let's see. The American Lucha Libre mask is incredible. Hell yeah. Thanks, David. I'm glad you get it. Let's see. Panosh, what's up? Good to see you. This is cute. Reuters is my favorite non-biased news outlet. Really? Reuters? Non-biased? Holy shit. If you want like semi-non-biased, check out Just the News. That's John Solomon. John Solomon does great work. Totally non-biased. Highly recommend checking out his news source. He tries to be non-biased. Sources from where? I'll post. I'll post the sources. You can see. Why do you hide behind a mask? I'm not hiding behind a mask. I'm embracing my Latino heritage. If you knew anything about Latinos, then you would know that luchadors are a source of Latino heritage. And luchadors are wrestlers that wear masks. And the mask signifies, I'm getting a warning. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm getting a timed warning. All right, I had to complete a stupid little capture puzzle. That was another thing I said in one of my other lives was, and we'll get back to the Matt Walsh topic and I'll wrap up here in a second. But one of the other things I said was, and it was crazy because like so many people were like messaging me about it. But one of the things I said was that Hispanics were a net negative because no inventions in the last 50 years were made by any notable Hispanics. And I couldn't find a single one. There is one, but it was made in conjunction with, guess what? Wait for it. Drum roll. A white guy. And that was the stent, the heart stent, that was made in conjunction. I forget the guy's name. It's posted in my post, the link to the actual page that shows the guy that made it. But it was a heart stent, and that was the only thing. And the other only invention, not a prototype, not a silly little toy, but something that actually changed the U.S. for the better on a massive scale. The only other thing I could find was CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA was actually created by a Hispanic person. So if you like CAPTCHA, you can thank the Latinos for that. CAPTCHA's just, I hate CAPTCHA. Who likes CAPTCHAs? They're so annoying. My guy, it's crazy you're choosing to fight this fight instead of the corruption from the rep. I'm assuming you mean Republican. Fighting the corruption from the Republican or rep. I don't know what rep means. I'm assuming. Yes, the Palmez stint. Yes, thank you, David. Appreciate that. Yes, the Palmez stint. 1985 was the last major invention. Now, Julio Palmez created the stent. However, the thing that made it actually viable for many, many people was the white guy. I forgot his name. They were both inducted into the National Invention Hall of Fame. It was the fact that instead of using a metal rod, they used, I believe, a flexible rod, and that was what actually made the stent viable. Since there is a limit on words, yes, it is Republican. Okay, so I will admit there is a lot of corruption on the Republican side. Yes, you're not wrong. Okay, so with that said, who currently is fighting the fight to make America better? Who is not giving $1.2 trillion to people who are illegally here? Not the Republicans, I could tell you that much. Who is fighting to lower prescription drug prices from a markup of 10,000%? Not the demon rats, I could tell you that. So you can say that there's corruption on both sides, sure, but only one side is truly fighting for a lot of things that help the average person, the average American. I do have one thing in common with Trump. We both love how dumb the people who vote for him are. Okay, sure. That sounds like a Hillary Clinton talking point to me, right? Because didn't she say the deplorables? All the people that vote for Trump are stupid? Okay, sure. So anyway, to circle around, because I'm going to get cut off here in a second, just to circle around to end this live, what I think Matt Walsh was saying, he posted up a tweet saying the people like Nick Fuentes, all right, if you've actually listened to Nick Fuentes, the dude's an America First, all-American. You can hate on him for some of his racial views, okay, fine. But if you just listen to a lot of what he says and just forget about like the nonsense, again, talking points that people want to bring up against him, a lot of what he says is true, all right? So you can hate on him all you want, but look, some of the shit that he says is actually true. And you have Matt Walsh tweeting out saying that the left is totally unified, right? Ocasio-Cortez, Mamdani, all these people, regardless if they're different they have slightly different beliefs or everything. They are all unified. However, on the right, you've got sections of the right that don't want to be unified for whatever reason. Like he was bringing up the fact that we must embrace the groypers. Yes, we don't have to agree with them on shit. We don't have to agree with them on anything except for the things that are actually going to change policy and make things better for everybody in America, not just for the Republicans, for everybody. And Ben Shapiro was publicly saying, no, we're not going to embrace these people. We're not going to unify with these people. And I think Matt Walsh is right. I think he's right. I think on the right, we need to just suck it up. These people are just going to call us crazy. They're going to call us ridiculous. They're going to call us every word and name, derogatory name and word in the book. Oh, well, get over it. Like, who gives a fuck what somebody calls you? If you care about what somebody calls you, I'm sorry, you are a pussy. It's that simple, and you need to just get over it. And that's what the right needs to do. They need to just unify. Get over the fact that some of these people, you don't like what they say. Who cares? You don't have to agree with what they say. But the right does need to be more unified. And Matt Walsh is right, and Ben Shapiro is just fucking wrong. I mean, he's just wrong. The reason why the left is so fucking powerful is because they're all unified. They all literally fight for each other and with each other, even if they are in disagreement with one another. And that is powerful. That is absolutely powerful. And that's how they are able to, like a collective hive mind, accomplish some of the goals that they're able to accomplish. But you've got critical thinkers on the right that are fighting the good fight every day. And that's great, and that needs to stay. But we need to be a lot more open-minded, and we need to embrace some of the people that we disagree with. You know, it's crazy that you've got Ben Shapiro of all people saying, no, we should not embrace with these people. Yet he's saying that he's more accepting and tolerant of the left. Yet he's denouncing an entire massive sector of the right. I mean, it's just talking, it's two-faced, right? You just can't be two-faced, man. You just got to be legit. You got to be authentic. People don't like liars, cheaters, stealers, and people that are two-faced. They just don't. It's like stabbing people in the back for no reason. All right, so let me just hit some of these comments real quick. You are the number one grifter. Thanks. Oh, I'm sorry. That's just got number one gifter. Sorry. Racism is true. You are picking and choosing, though. Laughing my ass off. Talk about brainwashed. What am I picking and choosing? Leviticus 19:33 through 34. Republicans are going against the word of God, thus meaning they're ungodly people. Well, that's total bullshit. Changing the Constitution is making the country better. I don't think so. I think if you want to change the Constitution, you need to have like three, whatever. Look, if you want to change the Constitution, hold the Constitutional Convention. Okay? If you can get 3/4 of the states to agree with you, then sure, you're right. Then it is for the better. If you can't get 3/4 of all of the states to agree with you, no, you're wrong. Sorry. You aren't a man. Ha ha ha. It's because the right is making so much money from Trump. You're right. We are. We're taking in trillions and trillions of dollars thanks to tariffs. Ha, imagine that. Latino, laughing my ass off. All right, guys, the live's going to end. It's going to cut me off. Again, thank you all so much for getting me to 100 followers. I just started this account like a month or so ago. I sincerely appreciate everybody who's been watching the lives, everyone who's been commenting. All my haters, thank you. I'm glad I'm getting haters because that means I'm actually saying something that matters and that is impactful, that's making people hopefully think critical, that's making people hopefully fact check me. You don't have to take my word for it. Just go do the research on your own and you'll see if I'm lying or not, right? So I will see you on the next live. I am going to go live tomorrow. Like I said, I've been trying to go live every day, had some issues the last couple of days, but I'm going live tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. East Coast time. And until then, just remember why the government's shut down right now. Later.